Hi, welcome to the Human Protocol podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Excited to be able to do this. You and I have chatted in cities around the world in different years at different times, but I'm really, really glad we get to do this and kind of share a little bit more about the personal side of building in this crazy, wonderful space that we are in.
It's definitely crazy times. I mean, it's always been crazy times, but now especially.
We will get to that. Okay. So straight off the bat, in your GitHub bio, you just call yourself a random developer from Canada. That's either the most humble thing anybody has ever said about themselves in this ecosystem ever, or the most apt description. Which one is it?
I mean, I feel it's a very Canadian thing to be humble in general, but you can't call yourself humble. So I guess both. I don't know. I mean, I feel like a random person. There's nothing special about me. Like, I just kind of enjoy developing, and open source is fun. And so, yeah, off to the races with it, and random it be.
Random you. It's really funny. I feel throughout my time in crypto, I have been surrounded by Canadian friends. Like, for some reason, I have a big affinity with Canadians and them to me. You're really, really lovely.
I mean, I just mentioned a second ago how there's like big forest fires, like off camera, how there's big forest fires. There's this great like video of this like train that's like going through the fires, like, hey man, we might die soon. So no hurry, but we need you to like get the train signals working. Like, well, I'm obviously not doing it justice, but like, it's just such a Canadian thing to be easygoing. And so maybe, I mean, Vitalik's Canadian. There's that too. And yeah, it's true. Like, I don't seek Canadians out, but a lot of the people in the space are very much Canadian.
They are.
So
they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had not thought about it.
I mean, my ex-co-founder Mark is Canadian. Scott from Gitcoin.
Right.
Arctic and Jacob. Shannon from LivePeer, who was at LivePeer. Many, many wonderful Canadians. Shout out to the wonderful Canadians.
Thank you.
Okay. I usually do this because I want a little bit of a glimpse of who you were before, right? BC, before crypto. And we were chatting about this earlier. I want to give me a nutshell of what that journey was, but also the Kickstarter project that didn't really take off. And you just wrote the line, I learned a lot. So I would love to know, Ric, what did you learn?
Okay. So, I mean, I guess I'll give the quick TLDR, which is I went to the University of Waterloo in Toronto, like in Waterloo, obviously, a few hours west of Toronto. Did a bunch of co-ops. So I wrote the graphics engine for the Blackberry. I went and worked, and we designed the Kindle, Developer Zero on Amazon Kindle, for those who know of that thing. So, I mean, I had lots of like really, like, experiences very compounding. Like, when you get really good experience early on, like the next company looks at you and thinks, oh wow, and da 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 da. Even if the initial oh wow was like a small oh wow, they kind of compound. So anyways, I went to work at Amazon for 5 years or something crazy like that. It's a crazy amount of time in my mind to work for the same company.
Yep.
And then went to BC, British Columbia in Canada, and wanted to do my own thing. So like, yeah, one of the things was a game engine. I just wanted to try the Kickstarter thing out. Like, it failed, and I'm so glad it did, because so the things I've learned a lot about Kickstarter is, like, you look at these projects and there's so much additional cost on top of just like the rewards and everything.
Okay.
Like, it would not have been, like, if I would have succeeded, it would not have in any remote sense been cost feasible for me to provide the stickers, like, for $10,000. Like, once you're doing the stickers, the mailing, the all these extra little things, I mean, just shipping. I mean, one of my newer projects is Firefly. I'm sure we'll talk about that at some point. But the point is, just to send one Firefly to New Zealand was $35. And so if I'm covering the shipping, sending stupid stickers to places around the world, it gets real expensive real fast. I can't remember what the other rewards were. Probably like custom Raspberry Pi with a version of whatever. Like, it very quickly would eat up every dollar from it. So
yes,
Kickstarter is a cool idea, but I think if I were ever doing it again, I would definitely have to heavily inflate the prices. And at that point, it almost feels like disingenuous, because who's charging $20 for a pack of stickers in the mail, or like, I just don't understand how a lot of Kickstarters work. I mean, to be fair, of the like 30 or 40 Kickstarters I've probably funded in my life, I think I've got like 3 or 4 of them. And so the success rate's really low. And I feel like those companies, oh yeah, I'm still expecting a code dot at some point. Totally forgot that one. Yes. So, I mean, long of it, I just don't see how it is like cost effective for anyone outside of weird situations to like do the Kickstarter thing. Obviously it works for some, but
tell me, other than the fact that Kickstarter doesn't make sense and the fact that you're glad it didn't work out, what was that very close to when you got into crypto or no?
I don't think so. I mean, I was just trying to throw a ton of things at the wall to see what stuck.
Okay.
Like, it had nothing to do with crypto. It was just like a random game engine for, I mean, it was actually a hackathon project from a hackathon called Toronto Jam.
Okay.
And so it was kind of fun. I was like, I'd like to see if I can turn this to a thing. I mean, at the time, I was just working like contract to contract, keeping things together. Like I always talk about, I had this great little, like, it was a 5-bedroom house. There was 7 of us living there. There was 2 kitchens and 1 washroom, which is the worst decision imaginable. It was very, but I mean, it was like $400 a month rent. So you could not beat it was like bohemian living. It was awesome.
Okay. So then from the bohemian living and the Kickstarter that didn't work, how did you then find yourself into crypto?
So during actually the next hackathon that like the following year, a friend of mine was like, yo, have you heard of this thing called Bitcoin? There's this place across town that like has an ATM. And so we took a break out of the hackathon and got on a streetcar, went an hour across town, got to the building, and it was locked. It was closed for the day. But there was a sign in the window saying, like, you know, weekly meetups on Wednesdays. Come on in, chat with like-minded people, da 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 da. And so started going to that. That's where we met Vitalik. That's where we met, like, I mean, there's lots of interesting people in the space. I mean, Jeff Coleman, Anthony Iorio, a very good collection of random. I mean, I'm sure people know Gerald.
Yeah.
From Quadriga CX. I mean, we all hung out and had drinks, and like everyone just seemed like a normal person. And so it was just like a fun little club type, like I don't want to say club, like
sounds very wholesome.
Well, and that's the thing, and that's why I bring up Gerald, because it was very wholesome. Like, you hear somebody who like embezzled and absconded and all these things, and you think like, you know, they're a scammer through and through, but he's just some dude that you go for drinks with. Like, we never even thought of that sort of like, yeah. So another story I often give to give context of why I really got into crypto was, and I always preface this with, I don't know how true some of these stories are, but these were these are the narratives that were given at the time that got me excited about it, which was there's these women in Afghanistan who, because they're Afghani, are not allowed to have wealth.
Code to inspire.
Well, it's okay. Yes, that does sound familiar. There you go. So basically, these women that could not have wealth because, as an Afghani, their father's brother's husband, name a male figure in their life, gets all their wealth. And so they were able to actually accrue money through Bitcoin, because it's like, for me, that's the big advantage of things like Bitcoin, or I mean, obviously Ethereum. I'm more of an Ethereum maximalist these days. But when it's not for people like us who live in Canada or Portugal or places that are first world countries where your visa works, your bank is going to more or less do the right thing. I mean, people complain about taxes and banks all the time. It's not a need. It's when your institutions fail you, when your government or your banking system is so corrupt, they will just like rug pull you. Like, the officials are rug pulling you. And so that's who we need to build crypto for, not to make another billionaire more billions, but to make people who can't have a bank account have a bank account. So that's what got me excited about it in the first place. And that's the thing. Like, you talk to these people at these blockchain events, and it's a range of people who are trying to like skirt taxes with the government. Like, there was like random people who'd go out in the forest for a month at a time and hunt mushrooms. It was just like the craziest group of people. It was so eclectic. Like, you have nothing in common other than there's some reason you think money's failing people somewhere. So,
and you kind of feel an affinity because those values are aligned, or rather you're concerned about similar things.
Exactly. I mean, not necessarily for myself, but in general, yeah, we were seeing, I mean, look at the way the world's gone since then. Like, it's really gone oligarch. So at the time, it was just kind of like felt oligarch-ish. Now it's so having a way to like thwart that type of behavior seems exciting.
So did you, I mean, other than having these conversations and then obviously having drinks and being wholesome, when did you decide to do something? Because obviously we have my favorite, again, another quote with Ethers is basically, I just threw it up on GitHub to see if anybody would use it. And
So
then
yeah, I mean,
things happened.
Right. Well, so I started doing some contracts. Like I said, just doing random contracts so I could afford to try doing my own random, throw stuff at a wall, see what sticks. So I started getting into like crypto space. Like we started doing these like technical, like smaller groups, but technical meetups.
Okay.
And then I wrote Bitcoin D in Python, just kind of to, like learn how it all worked from like the ground up. And that's when I started getting contracts from some of the people in the space.
Okay.
They weren't serious contracts, but they were enough to like, buy ramen, afford rent, like those important, like living life day-to-day type things that you really need to be able to do to go to a Starbucks and just like work all day on code. And so one of the guys that hired me, so he wanted a Bitcoin wallet. So we built a Bitcoin wallet.
Mm-hmm.
Then he wanted an Ethereum wallet. And at the time, Ethereum hadn't launched yet, but he was one of the early funders of Ethereum.
Okay.
And so he wanted this wallet for the sake of like, oh my God, this story. Right. So at one point we got this like wallet. It's written in JavaScript. It's like running in a web page. It's like barely working. Okay. And so I show it to him. He's like all excited. He's like, but you know what? Like it's still like super early alpha. Don't actually use it for anything. Just like try it out, see how you feel. And then like an hour later, he's like, hey, Rich, come here. Check this out. He shows me his damn wallet. It's got 120,000 ether in it. I mean, or $120,000 worth of ether, because ether was only worth like 30 cents at the time or 50 cents at the time. And I'm just like, what the hell? And it turned out so luckily that wallet was fine, but there was a 1% issue in that wallet that the funds would be unspendable. So I'm so glad he didn't hit that like 1% bug. But dude, it was just like, it was Wild West days back then. So, I mean, that got me into it. And then I started to realize, so at the time we were using Web3.js.
Yes.
And Web3.js was like 8 megabytes. It was just mad massive.
Yes.
Especially back in like 2000 and 13, 14, like an 8 megabyte website was untenable. Mm-hmm. And so I started writing ethers just to make my own wallet.
Better, like
on top of, yeah, exactly. Like, so it was just like, I wanted to like kind of cut the code space down, do my own thing. So I just kind of like wrote my own wallet. Again, all open source, not trying to compete with the person I just wrote the wallet for.
Okay.
Just in general, trying to write a wallet, including more like similar to what Frame eventually became. It was basically a web page that would have your wallet in it, and you could load pages inside the page, and the wallet would be exposed over this like X-Frame protocol, yada, yada, yada. And the thing is, so that was called ethers.io because it was like the input and output of Ethereum. Mm-hmm. It never took off, but the library I wrote for it kind of started getting traction. And then, like you mentioned, Scott Moore, because, well, okay, sorry, I'm all over the map. Another use for ethers.js, because at the time there was no JSON RPC protocol, like public things like Infura. Yes. And so Etherscan existed. So basically I made something that looked like what Infura's API was on top of Etherscan. And that was useful because we also did this weekly meetup, again, from the same group of people, where we would make a smart contract. And so the first week we sit down in this big room. They rented a big classroom. There's probably like 50 of us there. And the guy at the front, Nick Dodson, he's going to teach us how to like, you probably know Nick Dodson as well. He's going to teach us how to like make a smart contract. So he's like, okay, download this thing called Geth, start syncing it on your laptop because we're going to make a smart contract. So we made a smart contract, deployed it to the real network with real ETH. It was live. And then the next month we do the same thing. He does like kind of like every month you have the same primer and move a little bit further. Okay. So the next month he's like, okay, so download Geth now and start syncing because it's going to take 5 or 10 minutes before we've sunk the entire blockchain, the entire blockchain. And that way it'll be ready for when we get to that part. And then the following month, it was like, okay, come prepared because it's going to take like 2 hours to sync the blockchain. And so this was the advantage for Ethers, is because Ethers didn't need to sync the blockchain. It could talk directly to Etherscan and look enough like the same API that the same code would work. Okay. And so that was one of the parts of like, it was a whole collection of like kind of the right things coming together.
What year is this?
I mean, whatever year Ethereum came out, maybe the year after, like 2014. Does that sound right? 2016. Oh, maybe 2016 was the first release of Ether.
I would say 2016. If you were already doing this, yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's 2016, because I think 2016 is when the first release of, like the public release of Ethers came out. I mean, this was originally just like a random script I was sharing internal to like this group of people who were like, yeah, wow, Ethers has been 10 years. Wow.
Are we having a party? What's happening?
I have to look up. what date it actually came out. We probably missed the birthday already. So maybe we'll do an
Plus
11th
one
birthday or
next
something.
year.
Yeah, exactly. Off by 1 year. So yeah, I mean, that's just kind of how it took off. And that is what got me into crypto. And then, well, it's the thing, like once Scott Moore got involved, because
Yes.
at the time, I mean, I'm still doing contracts because, again, ramen and rent matter. And
That
Scott
Maslow
was like,
pyramid of needs needs to be taken care of.
yeah, like living, I won't be able to code if I'm living on the streets.
Correct.
I could probably live coding in my parents' basement, but that's got other concerns.
Yeah.
So yeah, Scott's like, we have this thing we're doing called Gitcoin. Like, he explains it to me like so many times. I'm just like, I don't get it. I use every open source library in the sun. I've never donated a thing to any open source library. There's no way in the world anything remotely like Gitcoin would ever work. I'm so convinced. Like, there's no way anyone's going to pay when they don't have to. It's open source. But he convinces me, so I'm like, fine, sign me up. Like give me a profile page, fill it out. And I mean, I think that first round I made like $3,000, which is like more than I'd ever seen ever for a single line of like open source code I wrote. And like I had, I think even still today, the number one AES library for JavaScript, the number one AES library for Python, the S script for both. Like it's just like I've written a lot of open source software and I'd never seen a dime.
Wow.
And so like the idea that so now also I'm like in my mind, like maybe this is like tenable. I mean, maybe this is like something. And like fast forward like a year, I think one round made $80,000. Now it dried up real quick after that. Like basically, yeah. But at the time it was exciting. At the time I was like, wow, open source is a thing. And I mean, most of the money I've made off of that I put into endowment, and that's what I'm paying myself today with. So I mean, it kept Ethers alive for a good while.
Yeah. And so from that moment or from when you launched it, because then you went, and I think that's where we met at one of the early events, where you basically went around to show people or talk about it and so on. Where was the moment where you just went to like, boom, in terms of downloads? And what was that like? Was it gradual or was it overnight?
It was so gradual. It was like definitely a frog in a boiling pot of water. Like it was, I never even noticed it. Well, because the other thing is, keep in mind that Ethers was made for me, more or less, like largely for me, so I could write Ethers.io on top of ethers.js.
Yes.
And so like just seeing other people using it was already like crazy. Well, you know, one thing that made me feel kind of big was when Gitcoin was taking off.
Yep.
Again, not because like people were paying for it. The thing I thought crazy at the time was there's like 2,000 people who donated $1. And crypto at the time was non-trivial to use. Someone taking the 18 minutes out of their life necessary to like install MetaMask, do all the MetaMask things, figure out how to fund the damn wallet.
And gas was ridiculous.
And gas was absurd. And to do all this just so they could send me $1, like having 2,000 random strangers, like the money is one thing, but the time investment on behalf of these, the man hours for them to get that $2,000 from me is bizarre. And so, yeah, it's, so, I mean, that was definitely the warm fuzzy moment of like, okay, this is more than like, this is actually something I can do. Yeah.
Full time.
I forgot the initial question. Sorry?
Just basically, it was more, how did it like grow and grow? Because at one point it like clearly surpassed the Ethereum Foundation Web3.js in downloads.
Yeah, that's true. I do recall, I mean, and that happened kind of earlier on than I very much expected.
Okay.
Like, because I remember starting to give talks at Devcons on it. Devcon 3 was the first Devcon I think I gave a talk on it. I think it was Cancun, yeah.
And then you did Prague, because I think I met you in Prague.
Yes.
And then Osaka.
And then I started basically every DevCon, every interesting event, people wanted to hear about Ethers. And I mean, again, for some random developer in Canada, it's pretty exciting to like, we want you to come talk for half an hour about your thing. And it's like, okay, like I'd never stood in front of people or talked about the stuff that I did. Like it was.
Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it. It was fun. I mean, I'm kind of an attention whore. I love being the center of attention. So it worked out very well. Like I mean, obviously I was nervous at the beginning, but I feel like I'm less worse now. And I mean, oftentimes I just get excited and forget I'm even there and just like going off of random tangents and getting lost and yes.
And forgetting what the question was.
And I forget what the question is all the time. I really need some sort of, that's the AI need. Some like little bar at the top that says, by the way, this is what you were asked. You're currently talking about granola bars. Get back to the...
point.
Yes,
and then it zaps you with a tiny bit of current.
That would be wonderful. Oh my God.
No,
Yeah, once we get Neuralink, it'll just be like all automatic. Just like
that's going to be our new weekend project. Done. So as all of this was happening, and then obviously for a random developer in Canada, you're like, people know who you are and you're, like want to talk to you and want to have you on stage, etc. Was there, because again, you started traveling, you started going to all of these places and so on. You were still, and as far as I know, you are still maintaining the whole thing yourself.
yes.
What was that like, particularly when you were having millions of downloads? Like the responsibility, was there a weight of responsibility? Was it keeping you up at night?
It wasn't keeping me up at night, but for sure, and now I'm especially so concerned with every release. Like, it's definitely, releasing is a big deal because you're just afraid that you're going to break something. You're going to, in some way that and nowadays I am beyond paranoid of even having computers with login credentials for NPM, running this session right now, because we're seeing NPM so that's actually another random side project I'm working on a little bit too, is to circumvent the necessity for NPM. But that's where a lot of the attacks are coming from now. Like people doing supply chain attacks on NPM. There was one yesterday with some crypto guy on Twitter where he thought he was doing an interview, did a yarn install from some thing he downloaded from GitHub. To me, that's an obvious no-no, but there's a lot of things I read about that in hindsight were an obvious no-no. But maybe at the time, I've got friends who I consider very, very crypto adept.
Yes.
And they've run the wrong Zoom link. And next thing you know, they've got things that were taken. So,
yes.
So yeah, I take it seriously. I also try to put money pots anywhere that matters. So you basically have a mnemonic.txt file sitting somewhere. So at least if any of the computers I care about are compromised, somebody's going to find that mnemonic. They're going to be like, oh, I'll just steal this one ETH. And once they steal the ETH, then I know, okay, whatever keys are on the computer, got to be slashed and or nuked and replaced.
Okay.
So there's some mitigating measures, but it is definitely for sure. I don't know if it keeps me up at night, but makes me very apprehensive about cutting a release for no good reason. People are like, oh, we made a bunch of docs changes. I'm not publishing to NPM because it fixed the smallest of bugs and fix a typo in some documentation somewhere. So yes.
So obviously, like we said, you started this to scratch your own itch and be able to build ethers.io. Was there anything that you wish you knew before you started this, and everybody in every app is using it and is dependent on it, and so then any bug and any release and any whatever is your responsibility?
There definitely are. I don't know if I know of any, but there's definitely unknowns. There's definitely things that if I learned them today, I would have said, I wish I would have known this 5 years ago. I guess the one thing is, do not ever change APIs ever, no matter what, as hard as they may seem. Going from V5 to V6, there was already a fundamental change where we're moving from Ethers had a big number class that it used for doing the addition and all that. But then in 2019, they released officially JavaScript added support for it. And by about 2022, it was widely adopted. And so I switched over to using that class. And because it's already, you have to change everything, I made a few bigger changes in the APIs. People did not like change. I think about 1/4 of the people still use a version of Ethers that's I'm going to say 4 or 5 years old now, just because a lot of projects don't have, because if it's working, they're not going to break it. And so, and I think a lot of them are semi-derelict. You can imagine somebody who threw up a website in 2020 that takes a mnemonic and converts into an address.
Right.
There's no need for them to change anything. The algorithms haven't changed for that. But yes, changing APIs definitely is a big change. And I guess that's the thing. Yes, when you've got millions of downloads, there's 16 million downloads a month, I think, right now. And so when you have that's
amazing.
Well, it's amazing and I love it. But the momentum means that any change you make just has so much resistance against it, because that's NPM, that's developers installing it. That's not that, I feel like that's the thing that's not really appreciated. NPM is such a lossy metric. I know we use it for figuring out what grants to give and all that, but it really does not measure real world. when you install MetaMask, it doesn't bump the NPM number at all. Like Ethers is living in MetaMask doing its own thing. Like when you deploy you NPM install once and you deploy to your website and you got 1 million users, that just shows up as one download on NPM. But likewise, some random person who's just like, oh, I wonder what this user thing is, and they type npm install, that has as much weight as that website, even though that person used it for 11 seconds, said, oh, I don't like the code style, and so I'm going to abandon it. Like, it's such a weird number because it doesn't mean what it's supposed to, what people treat it as meaning. I mean, I feel like most of the changes in my mind I'm thinking about are like structural changes, things I would have done on the logistics side to make managing the code easier. I feel like there's not really anything like personal I can think of that, like, I mean, in my mind, I always imagine, in the same way you imagine yourself being on a spaceship going off to Alpha Centauri and just like, what movies do I take with me? Because I'm watching these for the rest of forever.
Right.
Like, I feel like that whole example just blew my entire like mind story I had in my
construct.
head. Okay. Right. Exactly.
Let's do another question. Doing all of this and maintaining it and going to the events and doing all of the work and so on, what has that cost you on a personal level, if anything? But I mean, in terms of time, in terms of things that you could have done and you didn't do because there was a bug, because you had to do a new release, because et cetera, et cetera.
Right. And so, the one thing I was going to say is, like, I can imagine what my life would be like if I was never doxxed. Like, imagine if people didn't know who Richard was and Ethers was just like some random thing out in space.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't trust that at that point.
Would you have loved to just be anonymous and nobody would ever know? I
don't know if I would have, but I always imagine what it would be like, because you meet all these people.
Yes.
I mean, there's some big people in the space who just, you have no idea whether they're even a human. Like, it could literally be like some alien side project where like, let's see what these people think about this crypto thing and watch them spin their heads as they realize that this completely solved math because P equals MP is like super important, and we're just gonna like mess with them in 10 years time. Like, so I mean, it's interesting. I'm not saying I wouldn't want to be doxxed, again, attention whore, but like, I just feel like it's interesting to me how people do it. And like, that's the question, like, would I want to be completely unknown or have an anon account somewhere in space doing something? I guess I just told the world I don't have an anon account, but like, it's like, what if you had some sort of like secondary, unless I was a mislead. Yes, there we go. It's just, I don't know. I think about it a lot. I just imagine when I'm like, man, because right now, like, everything is doxxed. Everyone, last week there was that ENS vote and the people were like for the Security Council and the person's like, I'm fully doxxed. I'm just like, huh. I never even thought about that fact, but you don't get much more doxxed than me. Like, so anyways, It's just a more of an interesting thought. So yes, but your other question was what I would have done otherwise.
What have you sacrificed personally? And time was one of the examples that I gave. Anything like relationships, things that you could have done and you couldn't because, again, bugs, releases, etc.
I mean, I actually feel like I'm definitely net ahead because I was doing this as able to travel while I was like it's been great being able to travel and do work. My wife does the same sort of work, so we've been able to travel to Prague together for 2 weeks at a time and just find like what we did to ETH Prague and just like work from a Starbucks. So I feel like net ahead I am. I mean, obviously I've put a lot of time into Ethers, and I have a massive bucket of like other projects that, you know, I find interesting. I started, but just did not have the time, because I think another important part with like a side project is that momentum. You need to really dive in hard, dive in early to get far enough ahead that you kind of want to keep going. And so there's definitely like random side projects that I would have enjoyed doing otherwise. But I mean, yeah, net, definitely I would not have exchanged Ethers for anything else.
Okay. Side other projects, what and who are you when the laptops close, when you're not coding? I know slime molds and snowboarding and penguins and
I mean,
who is Ric when he is not coding a million projects in Ethers?
So that's true. I mean, I guess like slime molds fascinated me for so long. I wanted to get into them.
Okay.
But the time just wasn't there. And I mean, it's not like I couldn't have made the time, but to be honest, most of my spare time not working on Ethers things are coding other things. Like, it's like even when I was like a kid. Like I started programming when I was 9. It was just the pastime, like on the VIC-20, like poking away on that crazy loud keyboard. Like it is my pastime. It is what I do. I mean, if I'm not doing that, I'm either watching random TV shows. The Good Place, best show ever, by the way.
The Good Place.
Highly recommend
Yeah.
The Good Place.
Okay.
But otherwise, like I watch like YouTube channels on. There's this one that's great. He takes like old retro video games like Nintendo and like finds a bug that was put in it back in 1984 and like goes through and shows you why the bug happens, how to fix it, how to identify it, and then like the necessary game genie codes to undo the bug so that you have the version of the game that probably should have been released, but because of rushing. And so like everything is code in my mind. Like it's just, I like watching Woodworking too, or like all these DIY tiny houses. I mean, that's kind of my post retirement plan. We just got like, by the way, if you're looking to buy real estate, if you buy it in the middle of nowhere, it is so much more affordable. So we got like 5 acres of land in the middle of absolute nowhere. And
Beautiful.
So like, it's fun because you get to like build a fence or like chop up a tree that falls down. Like so I do enjoy that stuff as well. Figure out how to remove a tick.
So you're doing this. Like basically this is a version of touching grass, right? You go and chop.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Okay.
This is my touching grass.
Chopping wood, building fences. That's beautiful. You're outside.
Yeah. Well, it takes about 2 hours to cut the grass. And so like, it's also very therapeutic to sit there and just like, your brain is off. Like when you're on a lawnmower trying to avoid rabbits, like it's not coding. You are right. Like that is exactly my touching grass. Like I have to be focused because there's too many frogs around to like, poor frogs. They're so hard to not hit. Like they just, there's only so fast you can hit that button to shut down the lawnmower. Anyways, yes. Good times. Good times. Touching
grass and cutting grass.
Exactly.
Beautiful. Okay. So because you mentioned retirement, what would happen if you stopped tomorrow?
You mean to me or to Ethers?
To everybody.
I mean, I think it would be fine. There's other systems out there that are like VC funded that are really aggressively trying to like conquer the market.
Okay.
And so, I mean, it doesn't quite feel, the VC world is really aggressive at seeing like the Gitcoin. I feel like VCs really moved, and I think that's one of the things that really hit Gitcoin is the VC backed projects moved in. Or what was that one we were part of? Remember we voted on giving funding from something, and there was like a handful of like that Alchemy wanted to take a big chunk of the funding even though they had a ton of money in the bank.
Yeah, what did they want? I can't remember. 3 million? 3 million? I can't remember.
But it wasn't Octant. It was like was it Optimism?
No.
I remember it was being voted for on Agora. Agora was the system we were using to like figure who to...
Optimism.
Anyways.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we see a lot of VCs are just like, oh, look they're trying to help fund like small grassroots open source projects. We can take that. And so I feel like a lot of those VC money moved into extracting money that was kind of earmarked for the complete opposite of who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, I'm not too worried that if I got hit by a bus tomorrow. Now, that said, keep in mind, I do have an endowment. I've been putting a lot of the money I've been making off of Ethers aside so that when Richard does get hit by a bus, there's money to give to someone else to keep it alive long enough to like transition or whatnot. So
okay. So you have a contingency plan. I
have a contingency plan for being hit by a bus. It's
God,
absolutely, or a car, whatever. It's like, you know. So, I mean, there's definitely contingency plans.
It's not like weighing on your mind that you can't go and build more fences and build house and focus, just like
exactly.
Not do
well,
this
the thing
anymore.
is,
okay.
I mean, the second backup plan, like the other reason why we're focusing more on thinking, like, obviously, I don't know what retirement means because, like I said, my spare time projects are writing graphics libraries for Arduinos. Like, this is what I do in my spare time. But in terms of retirement, I'm thinking it's more important to focus on, I mean, crypto winter's dried up. So I think Ethers received a grand total of 0.25 ETH in donations last year. And so, like, the space has dried up pretty holistically. And so the reason why I think it's important to look at even retirement is because AI is going to absolutely chew us up. Like, excuse me, the example, I give this example to a lot of people. I mean, I spent a month trying to use a quaternion library. It's not important to really understand what quaternions are. They're basically special math that let you rotate an object in 3 space. Okay. I spent like a month trying to get this random, I tried like 7 different libraries. They're all massive just to get a little like PCB rotating in a video.
Okay.
I bit the bullet and decided to try this vibe coding thing. And
Yes.
goddamn, it gave one example and it included the entire relevant parts that I would have even needed from the library. So rather than incorporating these massive libraries, it was 50 lines of code, did everything beginning to end. I think I needed to tweak one thing just because the coding style wasn't how I liked braces to be. It was something so trivial. And maybe there was a typo. They had a variable that didn't exist. And you know what? An hour later, I had the full working whatever. After a month of struggling with various quaterning libraries and reading way too much on Wikipedia about various complements and all those sorts of things. So AI is a game changer, not in the sense that it's going to replace everyone. It's not like there's going to be no developers. But if a company right now hires 100 developers and they now need 3, well, this becomes an employer's market. And capitalism really knows how to treat an employer. And they're going to use those 97 people at the bottom to drive the price down. They're going to find that sweet spot. They'll hire 5 people and they'll be off to the races. So trying to stay employable to me seems pretty difficult. So I want to be able to if I need to tomorrow, Skynet wakes up and is you know what, time to take you out. I want to be able to enjoy my remaining 3 months left on Earth before the T8000 finds me, T800. And, make that one last fence.
And kill with that one last frog.
No, I try not. I killed one frog. I feel so terrible about it.
When was this?
When I killed a frog? It was 2 weeks ago. It was so sad. I have this 0-turn lawnmower and I saw it hopping. And so I pulled back, but one of the wheels doesn't engage as strong as the other. So rather than the thing backing up, it spun right. And I never found the body. I searched for the body. I was crawling through the grass trying to figure where it was. So it's possible that
he got away.
It just hopped. But I don't know, man. It weighs on me. It weighs on my conscience. I love that frog.
No way.
Have you seen leopard frogs? They are the most beautiful. They look they're a green. Imagine what a leopard looks like, but they're green instead of orange. They're just beautiful, shiny.
I think it got away.
Fingers crossed. Yes. Again, tangents. I'm really good at tangents.
No, I love
tangents
this.
And questions.
This is, you know what? This is your human protocol, and I am loving diving into all of this wonderful strangeness that is Ric. Because we're talking about funding, and we're seeing so many of the projects sunsetting. Obviously, I just sunsetted.
Oh my God, another big one. Yeah.
So many. So many. And the ENS Public Goods Working Group has been sunsetted. The EF is cutting its funding. And to your point from earlier about how much you raised last year of 2.5 ETH, what do you
0.25 ETH. 0.25 ETH. That's the funding levels we're talking about. Sorry. Keep your question going.
I mean, even worse. What do you feel that says about this ecosystem when this is the value or the relationship to the value that foundational projects provide?
I mean, I definitely feel capture. The whole thing that we got into this in the first place. I mean, I feel like you're probably the same. You got into it because you wanted the finance system to have competition. Well, and the finance system does when finance has competition, they buy the competition. And that's kind of what I feel has happened. I mean, I think 2 things happened at the same time. I think basically finance, I mean, we see the DeFi. We see all these big companies who but at the same time, AI also sucked a lot of the talent, a lot of the...
True.
People are super excited about AI. It's self-deprecating. I'm going to make a tool so good, I don't need to ever work again. And you never will. And so I feel like those 2 things kind of happened at the same time. It was, to be fair, again, like I told you, I didn't think Gitcoin would work. I would actually say the anomaly was when things were actually getting funded. That's... Okay. We're now in the status quo. We are in the point where capitalism has figured out how to capital. And it just took a while. For a while, grassroots things. For a while, money was going where we wanted money to go as a society. And then it was just captured. But it was a fun ride while it lasted. I mean, I still have faith that it will maybe get back there. I mean, even in my mind of minds, I'm hoping someday the ENS DAO is given back their power. And they're just We had our fun. It worked out well. I would love to see like a rebirth of the ENS DAO where the treasury is given back to it. And we're like, you know what? Not necessarily we were wrong, but we've done what we could. We've fixed things the direction we want them fixed. Let's build the correct conflict of interest policies we need. Let's build the correct whatever. And let's reboot this. Again, going back to like the good place, like when they reboot all these, like every time it gets a little bit less worse. And that's the goal, to be less worse.
Less worse. Ooh, that's a good sticker. or a really good comment to somebody. Just be less worse. Ooh, I like that. Could that be the title of this episode?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a good goal to strive for.
It absolutely is. And it actually, you know what? It's definitely more accessible than don't be evil. Just be less worse.
Well, because the thing is, don't be evil is like just guaranteeing to line you up to become evil. I mean, Google's whole, I mean, that was Google's mantra. And it was just like, it was like a march. It was like the whole march with good intentions, yada, yada, yada. Like, yeah. Until like your VC, well, and again, it all goes back to VC or the shareholders or whatever you want to call it, like that party of interest. Did
you do things to change it? So, for instance, like again, we're talking open source, we're talking foundational, we're talking infrastructure. How would you do it sustainable and fair? What would you change?
I think about this all the time. So one thing in general, I think any government system needs is like dice rolling. The second you have a set of rules that's static and not changing, whether it's tax codes, whether it's whatever, once you've got those rules established, people are going to min-max against those rules. So in my mind, this is not an actual suggestion, but just kind of like trying to like give an example of how I imagine things might sort of work. Imagine a capital gains. So in Canada, capital gains is like 50%. And so as a result, businesses buy and hold things to benefit off of capital gains. They basically, these rules are established and their accounts have figured out exactly how to like min-max this process. And so it stops working. Like capital gains was there to help encourage people to hold things for a long time, not to be like speculating. And so people then build weird vehicles on top of these so they can speculate again. So what I want is imagine capital gains, but you don't know how much capital gains is. At the end of the year, we're going to take your business number and we're going to hash it together we're going to roll a die and we're going to hash it together. And that's what your capital gains cap is for the year, all the different variables. And so as a result, you can't play the game. You can't you have to follow the rules. Like this system is in place so people will hold things for a long time. If you're in a position to hold things for a long time, then you will. If you can't, you won't. You're not going to, do the calculus to figure, well, we need to hold on to this asset worth this much for this example. So I just want more like the rules have to keep changing. Like if you let we saw this again with the ENS DAO. Anytime you have a set of rules, once people figure out how to ruin them, it just keeps sliding into ruinage. And so what you want is to you want to shake up that ant farm and every once in a while, you don't want to shake the whole ant farm. You don't want to just kill them, but maybe you have a mini earthquakes. Maybe the ant farm has 5 sections and you earthquake one section once a month.
Okay.
And that way you're kind of it gives them a chance to rebuild without having to start from scratch. And even that is a great example. So maybe you come up with this idea that you're going to earthquake the ant farm once a month. Once they learn that once a month, they're going to start planning around it. They're going to do the calculus and move all their parties across. So you need to make it once every
randomized.
One over random. Exactly. It has to be fully randomized, confounding variables and all.
Why do you think, I don't know about the ants, but why do you think humans have the tendency to do that? To your point, coming back to the DAO and many other examples.
I actually don't think humans are innately like that. I think it's very much like a trained behavior. The average human does not hoard wealth like we see a handful of people at the top. And you see for every Elon Musk out there, you see a Dolly Parton, you see a dozen Dolly Partons. There's way more people who are far more kind. My aunt she'll go off and she'll buy food for the food bank. You see far more people who aren't in a position to help as much as they want to helping. So there's way more people that are anti-Elon, that are the polar opposite of Elon Musk to the Elon Musks. The problem is the Elon Musks is a compounding loop. Like, it's not that they, like, by not giving, it gives them even more power, more compound interest, more compound influence over time. And so it's only a very small chunk of people who are actually the problem. The thing is, the problem that they are is like self-reinforcing. And so it kind of forms runway. So in my mind, I mean, this is all my like random philosophical brain randomness. And so any system you want for funding needs to kind of like, and this is why I think it's almost unsolvable. You really need to shake up the pot. You need to make sure that alchemy, if they go off and invest a bunch of money into trying to wealth extract from optimism, that it has as much a chance of failing as needs to make it no longer feasible for them to even decide to invest the resources in trying to like capture the wealth. I don't think this is possible. I think it's still going to be the same sort of, once you have $1 trillion, it's really easy to get the next billion. If you got $100, I mean, even proportionally, if you've got $100, it's not as easy for you to get the next 10 as it is for him to go from, $1 billion to the next 10 million.
Do you think we are essentially recreating what? Because we said about the status quo earlier. Are we just recreating everything, but just over here?
I think so. I mean, and again, that's because that handful of people wants it that way. They had a system they had great control over. This thing came along and threatened that control by empowering other people. And so and I think it's going to keep happening. I don't know how to solve it. I mean, obviously there are ways to solve it that I'm not going to be in favor of. I mean, the French Revolution invented the guillotine. There was lots of solutions. They had a lot of other problems that we don't want to get into. It wasn't just the bad people that got put up there. It was, and so it's not a good solution. But like that's the shaking of the ant farm type of like
intense shaking. And did you mention this because it was like Bastille Day yesterday? It was the French National Day.
I did not know that, but that's also good timing. Yes, good to know.
There you go.
But I mean, that's what I mean. Like, we need legislation that makes it so unpalatable to be just evil. Like, because the people who are going to be evil are going to be evil regardless. I don't think the average person is evil. Like, the average person is very considered, gracious, and goes out of their way to like do what's right. But the people who are the pathological, have you seen the movie Invention of Lying?
Yes.
I feel like it's that type of situation. The person who can lie has this unnecessary advantage over everyone else. The society as a whole, I think, would be better. I mean, I'm not saying lie. But yeah, I feel like that's the thing. Like, basically that one person being so asymmetric really broke everything. And so it's the same. And I guess I'll use that as my analog for this. It's the same sort of thing. Like, one person being so asymmetric can ruin an entire society of honest people just because it gives them so much power.
It's really interesting because, again, this is in our conversations about everything that's happened and happening and whatever. It's that I don't know if it's the desire or, like you say, learned behavior of wanting to be close to power as well. That basically, as soon as you have somebody in power, then there's other people wanting to be in that zone of influence. But that is also must be trained behavior, right? Or things that have been like perpetuated for so long that that's just the way some people behave.
I definitely think so. And I also feel like a lot of these, like, the people who are kind of stuck in the vacuum behind this, like people who will get swept along, I feel like a lot of them, they're not necessarily even evil themselves. They see this thing, it looks really cool. I think a lot of this could be fixed even with like marketing. Like, it just because we all have those movies we watched as a kid where, you got the big strong bad guy and the weak good guys, they succeed by doing what's right. By working together, by not being greedy. Like, I feel like great examples of this sort of thing is Japan. Like, when you build the marketing of being a good person into your culture, like it survives much more than like. So I mean, I think there's going to be the Elon Musk of the world who I just think are like I am being very oblique. Anyways. I feel like there's the Elon Musk of the world who are basically, they're going to be evil no matter what. Like, they entitled to slaves. They're entitled to my diamond mine is how I made my money. Like, they just have such crazy ideas on how the world works. But the people who kind of like get swept along, I think if they maybe just saw more after school specials as a child, they could have probably been like saved a little bit more, like just resisted a little bit longer. I mean, yeah, I mean, Trump is a great example. You see all these people following him to no end. I just think they just really need a really good after school special, maybe like a nice high budget one, like something that really makes you want to. The Marvel cinematic series, cinematic universe as a after school special.
Okay, right. I like
Which it already
that.
kind of is, though, because if you think like the heroes are always, they're more or less doing the right thing. They're risking their
More or
own.
less. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we just need more Marvel movies. That's the problem.
Is that what we need, Rick? I don't know that I agree with that.
I mean, I don't know if I agree with that either, but
Okay. Would you say because we're talking about values to an extent and I guess character and integrity, what would you say are some non-negotiables in your human protocol? Like in terms of who you are, what are some non-negotiables that you wouldn't stray away from? And this can be anything. This can be boundaries. This can be like beliefs. This can be, you can pick one, you can pick more than one. Don't mind.
I mean, I would definitely need to think a lot. Like, I've got so many ideas for this, but I mean, I think probably the most important.
Yes.
Yeah, like the most important one I would say is like be kind. Like, and it has to be like holistically be kind. So going back, so for example, the frog thing.
Yes.
Be kind to animals, because I think Vitalik had this great. I'm not going to do it nearly justice, but I love the way he described it, which is like, why are people are saying it's important to be kind to AI because someday they're going to come back and look at your history to whatever. And he made this like point about, it's not, being kind is not to get something. It's not to make the AI treat you nice in the future. Being kind to the AI is for your own internal aspects. If you stop being kind to AI, it makes it easier to stop being kind to this and stop being. Next thing you know, you're just like a dick in general because you're so entitled. And so I build live fruit fly traps. You take a little cup, you put some banana in there, you make sure there's a cloth in there so they don't drown with the water. Yes. And you can trap them, release them outside. Like, it's those little things I feel build this, if you're going to go through so much work just to make sure that you escort the fruit flies outside safely, like, it means it's going to extend to other things. If you can't hurt a fruit fly, you're not going to go dump a bucket of cold water on the homeless people in the winter, which is what Tim Hortons in Canada was doing. Like,
what?
Exactly. Like, that's the thing. Like, imagine the mentality of a person, a manager of a coffee shop, who's again probably only making minimum wage themselves, or deciding that it's their right to ruin this person's So you need to really, marketing wise, culturally ingrain be kind. You need to make sure that everyone is always kind, no matter kindness and gratitude. Be thankful for the things you have. Yes. I will say those in my mind seem like the two most important. I don't know which one's more important. They're both pretty important. They might somehow be subsets of each other. I don't know. But I would say those are two, those are my two non-negotiables.
Very nice. I like it. And I agree. I fully agree. One final thought there, although we could end on this because it's very beautiful. Is there anything that you have not said publicly but would like to about anything?
I'm pretty vocal and loud.
Yeah, you are.
I don't know if I keep secrets from myself, let alone the public. I mean, there's probably lots of things I would like to... There probably are things. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, though. Yes.
Okay. All right. Is there anything you want to add before we close up?
I guess be kind, be happy. I don't know, touch grass. There we go. I like touch grass. Yeah, touch grass. It's really important. Touch grass, put your feet in the ocean, whatever available. I don't know where you are, but if you're wherever people are, just enjoy. The world is crazy. Enjoy it while you got it. Yes.
Thank you very much.
I like touch grass. It's a great term. Yes. Thank you.
Touch grass. Be less. What was it? Be less.
Crap. What was it? Yeah. Less.
We'll
less
have
bad?
to replay the video.
Yeah. Exactly. Less worse.
Less worse. Yes. Okay. We need touch grass and be less worse as stickers immediately and ship them for $20. All right. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Simona.